Good afternoon and welcome everyone to our first year welcoming ceremony presented by Burnet, Duckworth and Palmer. Please welcome our first year students. afternoon, everyone. My name is Martin Phillipson, and I'm the Dean of the College of Law, and I'm delighted to welcome students, staff, faculty, cloakers, honoured guests, family and friends, and those watching online. We're excited to have you with us today to help formally welcome our first-year students to the College of Law. As we gather here today, we acknowledge we are on Treaty 6 territory in the homeland of the Métis. We pay our respect to the First Nations and Métis ancestors of this place and reaffirm our relationship with one another. This is my second favorite day in the law school calendar for several reasons. One mainly is that they'll never look as smart as this ever again in their law school career, so it's nice to them to look smart. And also that it's a very special day to welcome them to a wonderful college and to welcome them on their path towards joining some of the most passionate and loyal alumni of any law school in the country. It's a great privilege and honor to have you here and to welcome you here. My favorite day of the law school calendar is in 3 years' time when we finally get rid of them, but that's a different story. Anyway, never mind, moving right along. The first year welcoming ceremony is intended to be a ritual marking the beginning of a new intellectual journey, one that will be transformative and enriching for students upon embarking upon their legal studies. Part of the ceremony includes having our first years recite a student commitment. This commitment is being derived from the University of Saskatchewan's Learning Charter, which was established in 2010 and revised in 2018. The Charter is our commitment to opening our university to learning, engagement, and opportunities for all peoples of Saskatchewan and beyond. And in doing so, recognizes and appreciates the knowledge, diverse abilities, and the ways of teaching and learning that they bring with them. You'll find the student commitment in your program, along with the commitments from both the institution and from the faculty. Together, these commitments define the roles that each party plays in ensuring every student at the University of Saskatchewan is given an optimal learning experience. I also want to emphasize, though, the role that our guests here play today: parents, partners, grandparents, children, family, friends, etc. The support you have provided and the support you will continue to provide these students does not go unnoticed. Getting into law school is not a solo event, it's a team sport. And there is a team of people, family and friends and others behind you who have got you here, and that's one of the reasons why we make sure, in many respects, they're almost the guests of honor, not just you that get to witness the start of your intellectual journey. So we want to thank, and I'd actually like a round of applause for all the family and friends up here to thank them for helping the students get to this point. We are welcoming 126 new students today that come from all across Canada. 6 provinces are recognized in this cohort. 61% of you come from Saskatchewan and 39% of you come from other parts of the country, so it's a good 60-40 split, which is roughly what we like. We have a wide variety of professional and educational backgrounds represented, including research scientists, accountants, engineers, financial investors, fashion designers, and others. As we go through the ceremony, I'd like you to follow along in your programs for complete bios of each speaker and gown presenter. And of course, I want to abuse my position as MC to say just a couple of words to start with. We talk a lot, and you've heard it from me at orientation about this is the start of your professional journey. But I want to emphasize to you again, to my colleagues and to your family and friends, that it's not just about how hard you work and what sort of professional you are. We're deeply committed in the college and in this university to professionalism also being cognizant and aware of your own health and your own self-care. It is clearly part of being a professional now that you look after yourselves and you look after each other. The students have dubbed this law school Canada's friendliest law school, and I agree. I think I agree with that. In fact, I know I agree with that. It is indeed. But part of this is that you are a cohort who are not competing against each other. You're working with each other to support each other through what is a difficult and often challenging intellectual journey. As I said to you at orientation, and I'll say it to your family and friends, you're learning a new language once you enter law school. We've got engineers and philosophers and all sorts of folk in here who are way smarter than I am, but it's a new language, and it will take time. So I ask you for patience ask you to support yourselves, but most importantly, ask you to take care of yourselves and remain the whole human beings that you are. Don't let law school strip away what you are. I don't want to hear stories from your family and friends saying, oh, he was such a nice boy until he went to law school, and then he came back at Thanksgiving and all he wanted to talk about was contracts and blah, 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 blah. And they can't wait to shove you out the door and get you back to Saskatoon so they don't have to hear you regaling them with the stories of first-year contracts. So remember that. You are a whole person now. You have a whole range of interests and other things. Law school should not subsume you. It should enrich you, and it should provide you on a path to being a public servant in the future and serving your community, serving your clients. But don't forget who you are in the process, and we want to make sure you don't do that. So make sure you take care of yourselves and take care of each other while also expanding your intellectual and your professional horizons. So again, part of a professional is working hard, being responsible, acting classy, taking care, but also taking care of yourselves and taking care of each other. I would now like to welcome Maria Campbell, the Cultural Advisor to the College of Law, to bring greetings and to say a blessing.
Naskum now, naskum augo ka kwe chimse ka pepik square. You go kake we mi onaxi. You go ke mi asiko manoski se ka we hoya ka te petse ketna. E go men taski now, you go ke mi asik. Utaka we atoske, utaka we xnam ka we. Utau chikawi sepuete ni pawistama kawi ni pawistama ke moinesto ka piksque goitsimau ka te pecheke taktima game goya kawi nawaski ka koinas petawa ki ko kemiona kutsege ego mina ko komnau we are sworn na kate pehta. Goits mau ka pewi tap mingo yek. Kawichi go yek. Ego mina musom na wakane wapetse kuista on goits mau. Nesto e mio asegota ka pepihta go emaka. Kawichi go yen. Ego nesto ka maa tahko megan to vastaje. Auno tawik te maa game nan. Pewiitse henan. Miu meska no maka kousihtaak. Miu atosketse ketsoa täysi nimnoak. Kawiitse hatse kouktsua sumsnoak. Miu wiitse etotsek. Miu matsetsek. Moju sammu maka aimak. Kawituutaakek. Maka pitos. Kisihtaa to. Pitos kai tastegetsek. Ja kun me koitsike mojan, ken naskom na. Hai.
As the name of this event would suggest, it would not be possible without the support of Burnet, Duckworth and Palmer law firm. BDP has committed $200,000 over 10 years to sponsor this ceremony. Today we have with us Jody Wicharuk, partner at Burnet, Duckworth and Palmer in Calgary. Jody graduated from the U of S with a Bachelor of Laws in 1998 and a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science with great distinction in 1994. Please welcome Jody.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is indeed my honor to be here, bringing greetings on behalf of my firm. I'm very proud that we are supporting this institution and this commencement ceremony. For those of you who don't know, BDP is a law firm in downtown Calgary with approximately or around 110 lawyers. We have a strong connection to the College of Law, with many U of S law graduates at our firm, including our former managing partner, Gary Bugeaud, who together with his wife contributed one of the entrance scholarships to be given out later today. I myself am a born and raised Saskatchewanian. I vividly remember starting here at the College of Law in 1994. Not too sure what to expect, but super excited in any event. It's hard to believe that over 20 years have passed. I greatly appreciate being back in Saskatchewan, being back at this institution, which, because of the number of years I spent here and the friendships I formed, still does, it feels like home. It smells. I can remember the smell of it as well. I am so happy I've had the opportunity to obtain a legal education and what it has done for me personally. My law degree taught me how to think, how to solve problems. And I find I use this skill obviously every day, both in my law practice and in my personal life. With my legal training, I learned how to advocate for others. I learned how to listen, really listen to the other side. A legal education will give you the building blocks necessary to practice law. It can't teach you everything because the reality is, as lawyers, we are constantly faced with something new. While preparing my remarks for today, I walked down the hall to chat with our current articling student in my energy group about her recent law school experience. And I asked her if she had the chance, what she would say to you today. And her response back was quick and it was fast. And it was, don't be afraid to ask questions. Which Robin's counsel actually fits quite nicely with the first two pieces of advice I have for you as you start your legal journey. The first is don't be intimidated. I vividly remember in first year sitting in my classes, head down, hoping, crossing my fingers, sitting down at my desk that the professor wouldn't single me out and ask me any questions. I didn't want to embarrass myself. I thought everyone in the class obviously was way smarter than I was. And the reality is, and you will figure it out, that that's simply not true. One of the things that the dean mentioned in his introductory comments was it being a new language and the importance of self-care. Give yourself the time to figure it out. Give yourself the time, I guess, and allow yourself to fail. Allow yourself to make mistakes. Don't come in expecting to hit the top and the A in the high range. Be kind to yourself as you go through the process, because you will figure it out. It is a new language. The best thing also I can advise is interact. Interact with your fellow students. Reach out to your fellow students. Speak with your professors. Maybe don't hide in the class. Make yourself known. Ask questions. Stay positive. And remember, professors make mistakes too. They may not admit it, but they do. My second piece of advice to you is protect your reputation. In this day and age of Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, even what memes you choose to like, and I'm sure I'm missing like a million of them in between because it's been 20 years since I've been through it, it's unfortunately way too easy in a moment of bad judgment for your generation to make very public and early career-limiting moves. Your reputation in law matters a lot, and it starts now. Your reputation is an extension of your character, and we are in a profession where you live or die by your reputation. Be smart. Consider your actions and treatment of others. Never forget that anyone may be a client at one point, and you never know who may be your boss or even a judge ruling on your case one day. Treating everyone with respect and courtesy now will engender a reputation that can only benefit you later. How you act in public to each other, to your partners, to your family, towards the profession, and other college staff is critical to how successful you will be later. Why? Because everything you do contributes to your reputation and what kind of lawyer and person people perceive you to be. In conclusion, I would like to congratulate all of you. Getting accepted into law school is something that you and your families should be very, very proud of. You're embarking on an education at one of the best law schools in the country. You've got great professors, you're supported by an incredible legal community, but most of all, the college cultivates a great sense of community and camaraderie amongst its students, and that sense of community continues when you leave, no matter where you end up in your personal legal journey. Thank you.
Just a little bit more about our first year class. Even though we're saying it's new language, and all that sort of stuff, and you've got to adjust your expectations. Average LSAT score of this class was 158, which is pretty good. And the average GPA was 3.44, which is also pretty good. I never got 3.44, but that's another story. We all have skeletons in our transcript closets, as we say. But don't forget that you're smart, and don't forget that you were smart enough to get here. So even though you struggle, you'll get there, and you'll figure it out. So it's none of this, we'll strip you down and build you back up sort of nonsense, but it just takes a bit of time and be patient. But you're smart enough to get here. I told you the hardest thing about law school is getting in, and the second hardest thing is getting through first year. After that, it becomes easier because you know what you're doing. So when you don't know what you're doing, just work at it, and you'll figure it out. But you are smart, and you were smart enough to get here. There's lots of people who didn't get here. So remember that while you struggle and weep in the library. Okay. Moving on. I have a letter here from the Honourable Justice Robert Richards, the Chief Justice of Saskatchewan, to bring greetings from the Court of Appeal. He was unable to be here today as he is attending the Canadian Judicial Council meetings in Quebec City, but he asked that I read you this letter on his behalf. I will not try and impersonate Bob. That would probably be some sort of capital offense, so I will just read it out in my normal, beautiful, flowing tones. On behalf of my colleagues on the Court of Appeal, I'm delighted to be able to welcome you to the study of law at the University of Saskatchewan. Every day, and in every corner of the world, lawyers are doing important work. They defend the innocent and they safeguard their rights. They build and maintain the institutions and relationships on which economies are grounded. They help people to arrange their family and personal affairs. Everywhere we look, lawyers are intimately involved in making communities work. In big ways and in small, they are on the front lines of the ongoing struggle to protect liberty, to ensure justice, and to promote social order and harmony. By deciding to enter law school, you have elected to become part of this amazing project. Over the next 3 years, you will learn a great deal. Lecture by lecture, course by course, year by year, you will acquire an understanding of the rules and systems that make our world run. Your professors will give you an intellectual toolkit that will serve you well for the rest of your professional lives, no matter what career paths you choose to take. Please accept my very best wishes for success and satisfaction in your studies. The JD program is challenging, but I know that just like those of us who've gone before, you will find success. These next 3 years will be memorable ones, and they will mark you for life. Enjoy them and take from them all that you can. And that's from Chief Justice Robert Richards and the Saskatchewan Court of Appeal. I'd now like to welcome the Honourable Madam Justice Donna Wilson to the stage to bring remarks and greetings from the Court of Queen's Bench.
Thank you. Judge Pelche, Judge Moran, Dean Phillipson, distinguished guests here today, and most importantly, first-year students. I'm very pleased to bring greetings and congratulations on behalf of Chief Justice Popescu, who happens to be with Chief Justice Richards at the Canadian Judicial Council meeting. I also want to bring greetings, of course, on behalf of all the judges of my court. I received an email a little while ago asking if I would be willing to attend the cloaking ceremony at the university. My response was, of course, is it a hobbit kind of a thing? You see, we didn't have this ceremony when I was in first year law in 1982. We had a first year banquet where we learned from the second and third years how to throw dinner buns at each other, and unfortunately, the speakers at that dinner. As you can imagine, it was very difficult to find speakers to come to that event. To the first years, you should be very proud of yourself for being selected to attend this esteemed law school. It is your accomplishments before your acceptance that were considered when the college was looking at individuals who they would admit to the college. As much as you should be proud of yourself, you also must remain humble. Be able to acknowledge that at this time you don't know everything, and also acknowledge that you maybe never will. You must be grateful for the support and love of those who are all up in this balcony and maybe aren't here today. It is difficult to accomplish anything we do in life without the support of others, and I see in droves that you have that support. You will lean on them over the next 3 years. They'll be there for you. You must also be grateful for the mind that you were given at birth, and for all of the work of others that have developed that mind up until this point. Over the next 3 years, your mind will allow you to listen, to analyze, and question. You may currently believe that answers to life and legal issues are all black and white. After your 3 years of law school, you will understand that the answers can be many shades of gray. You will understand that there is likely no perfect answer to any particular legal problem, but you will be able to clearly see all of the sides to the issue. You will be guided here at this college by fabulous members of this faculty. Some have been here a very long time, teaching wonderful students such as yourself. And some of the newer ones, I'm sure, have the enthusiasm to put you through your paces and help you along the way. One of my favorite quotations is from the holder of the Guinness Book of World Records for the highest IQ. Now, her name is Marilyn Savant, and she said, "To acquire knowledge, one must study. But to acquire wisdom, one must observe." So you all have an open invitation to come down to the Court of Queen's Bench on Spadina Crescent. Please sit in on one of our trials. Stay for an afternoon. See a couple witnesses. See them under cross-examination. Probably a murder trial is the most interesting, but if your bag is tax liens, fine, come down then. You can also attend our college when our Court of Appeal is sitting. They do sit in Saskatoon a couple times a year, and you will hear constitutional arguments and brilliant lawyers speaking about the law, because that is the forum for those arguments. Finally, with this ceremony, you take on a responsibility above and apart from the rest of society. By donning your robe today, you accept new obligations, new standards, and new principles. My law school years were some of the best years of my life. I hope the same holds true for each and every one of you. On behalf of the judges of the Court of Queen's Bench, I wish you all the best and welcome you to the study of law.
Gonna shuffle through my sheets now. All right. Just again for the assembled audience, we are Canada's third oldest law school. We have had 107 graduating classes. We are the oldest law school in Western Canada, and we count amongst our alumni former prime ministers, governors general, Supreme Court justices, diplomats, Court of Appeal judges, and we have alumni stretched across this country from coast to coast to coast. And wherever you go, you will find a U of S Law alumni pretty quickly. I've met them in coffee shop lineups in Iqaluit, Nunavut, where I thought we had 3 alumni, and it turned out we had 4 because my former student Tracy was now working there. I can go to Yellowknife and I can drum up about a dozen alumni, and go to Whitehorse and drum up 25. I can go to Calgary. We have about 500 to choose from in Calgary. We have 700 to 1,000 in Regina, probably more here. Anywhere you go in the country, you will not be alone. You will soon find a U of S Law grad, and there will be an instant bond between you and them. They are remarkable people. We have 3 Chief Justices currently sitting of courts across the country. Chief Justice of Saskatchewan, the Chief Justice of Newfoundland, the first female Chief Justice of Newfoundland, Deborah Fry, who was a graduate of 1980, was appointed last year, and the Chief Justice of Nunavut is a graduate of ours from 1975. So one of the great things about the school, as Donna said, is that you are joining a wonderful group of individuals across the country who really are passionate about the education they received here, and not just the quality of the education, but also the camaraderie and the community that you joined. And it is, again, a great privilege for you to join that. We have expectations of you in that regard, but also they will help you along the way. When I do alumni events across the country, I now bring students along to meet alumni and to see future alumni, talking to those alumni, and opening doors, opportunities, conversations, but also realizing they were ordinary kids just like you. Sorry to call you kids. Professors do it all the time. I know it's very patronizing, but we can't help ourselves. To see ordinary people like yourselves, they were once sitting in this room or sitting in 130 trying to figure out what on earth Doug Schmeiser was going on about, God rest his soul, or whatever. But the point being, they got there. But they got there by working with their professors, working with themselves, and they will help you on your way. The other thing that is of interest is that, depending on how you define success, some of our most successful alumni did not practice law. The law degree provides you with a skill set and a way of thinking and a way of dealing with problems that is very adaptable, highly adaptable. Probably 99% of you think right now you might wish to practice law. That may change, but it gives you a skill set that is the envy of almost every other graduate because of its adaptability. They might say they don't like you, but everybody wants a lawyer on their board, everybody wants a lawyer on their organization, and everybody wants your wise counsel on things like conflicts of interest that nobody else on the planet seems to understand other than lawyers. You will learn all these wonderful things, but most importantly, you will learn how to be a proud alumni of this school, I hope. All right, moving along. I would now like to call upon the Honorable Judge Murray Peltier to bring greetings from the Saskatchewan Provincial Court.
Good afternoon, Madam Justice Wilson and Judge Morin, and all our distinguished guests, and the first-year students and all your family that are here. I want to say that I want to tell you what I took away from my law school experience. And this is what I took away. Everything that the speakers that said before is, I accept that. That's very important, and I'm glad that they said it. What happens in your law school career is really you're building the foundation of everything that you're going to bring to what happens after you leave here. And that means you're building the foundation of your skill set. You're going to learn what law school is about, and you're going to learn what actually being a law student means. And I guess from my own personal experience, I'm going to share with you that you probably won't actually understand for about, well, anywhere between 4 to 8 weeks. And it'll click in that period of time. Writing the law school exam is a whole different kind of challenge and a whole different kind of exam that you've ever written. You have family here, people that support you, and law school is going to consume you. Even though we will say don't let it, it's going to consume you. If that's your thing, that's okay. That's okay. And get embroiled in it. But what I suggest is for the best law school experience is learn to collaborate. Learn to move between every kind of social circle that you can. because that's going to actually be the most important skill set that you leave with. It's how you deal with people, how you speak to them, being able to reach them and have them actually communicate their problem and what's really the cause of their problem. If you actually are able to do that in law school, you're going to take that with you, and that will actually be the skill that you need. Learning to actually deal and interact with people, as my friend said, is the most important thing. You're going to work hard. You're going to work hard. There will be crying. And there's nothing wrong with that. Show emotion. Okay? I cried when I went to law school, especially in the first year. There's nothing wrong with that, as I said. I want you all to know already you've been selected into the first year. You belong here. Now it's just time to show what you've got, prove yourself, learn the material, but don't be afraid to get involved in the social aspects of being in law school. Many of you have already kind of understand that, but what I'm saying is, if you are a social minimalist like myself, kind of like a coyote, well, you got to be able to at least get involved in some of the activities. You may not be in all of them, and that's important too. You can get lost in law school social lifestyle. It can actually be the ruin of your law school career, so be careful there. But if you're, like I said, if you're more like myself, I got involved in the follies. I did things that took me out of my comfort zone, like that. And I think that's important also. You're going to hear a lot of material and things that are distasteful, a lot of things that are controversial. What I'm going to encourage you to do is embrace it. Embrace the things that make you feel uncomfortable, because that's what actually contributes to your development as a professional, and it's going to contribute to your development as a lawyer. Take advantage of the breaks that you get, and right away you should do the most important thing, which is start looking at your calendars and start managing your time. That's very important, because time is scarce. It's like a lot of other things, like money, it's like love. There's not much of it. Sometimes you look around, you don't see much support, but there is support here, and I'm glad that Martin said that. There's a lot of people that you're going to leave here in 3 years remembering. You're going to remember the things that you said. You're going to remember the things that you did, and hopefully they're not on social media if they're embarrassing, because that's important too. Look out for yourself, and look out for your best interests. That means taking care of yourself. That means actually taking the time out that you need to. Spend time with your family, because at the end of the day, that's who we're doing this all for. We want our family to be happy. We want ourselves to, be able to look at ourselves in the mirror. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is you actually stay true to yourself. Be willing to compromise, but don't lose yourself in this. Don't lose who you are and what you stand for when you come to this school. And when you go away, it'll be the most fulfilling thing that you could ever take part in. So my advice to you is, in order to enjoy the law school experience, go to class. Okay? Thank you very much.
I would now like to welcome Feluke Loa Shebikan to the stage to bring greetings on behalf of the Law Society of Saskatchewan.
Madam Justice Wilson, Judge Moran, Judge Peleshe, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to be a part of this occasion today to bring greetings on behalf of the President of the Law Society, Leslie Belloc-Pinda QC, and the Law Society. About 30 years ago, I was a first-year law student in Nigeria. With a smart mind, a love for reading, and a natural flair for debating, I had the confident hope that I could be a great lawyer. Alongside my confidence, though, was the humbling feeling of being almost lost in the new world of legal learning that I was entering. Since that time, I have found time and again that it is possible at the start of any new venture to have both confident hope and the feeling of not being so confident at the same time, and yet achieve brilliant success in that same venture. So if today you are somewhere on the spectrum between feeling confident and not that confident, you are a good candidate and you are in position to receive the tools to make you a successful lawyer. And I might add, from an outstanding college of law. Having been a student of this college during my credentialing process, I know that this college holds itself to a standard of absolute excellence. You have good reason to be proud to have gained admission to the distinguished U of S College of Law with its tradition of excellence. Having studied law in a few different countries around the world, I have found that the legal profession is noble and distinguished worldwide. Lawyers are called to an honorable profession which holds itself to the highest standards and which calls for discipline and integrity. Integrity, however, is not a once-off event, nor is it a given for anyone. It is a choice to be made each time there is a decision or task, and the same goes for discipline. That said, we know life is for the living and you only live once. The constant challenge for you as law students and later as lawyers will be to navigate the balance of work and fun without losing sight of integrity. To round up, in life and certainly in the legal profession, you will find that no man is an island. From time to time, everyone needs support, guidance, and even caution signs to remain on track and to attain their highest potential. The Law Society of Saskatchewan regulates legal services in the public interest, and in its work of protecting the public, it facilitates resources for the competency and efficiency of lawyers. In real terms, the Law Society provides legal resources and practice guidance to ensure excellence and accountability in the delivery of legal services for the protection of the public. As a law student, and more so, later as a lawyer, you will find the Law Society a valuable guide. With this, on behalf of the Law Society of Saskatchewan, I congratulate you on your admission. We wish you well, and we look forward to welcoming you to the legal profession in time. Thank you.
I'm now delighted to introduce Tony Vanelli, Provost and Vice President Academic, to bring greetings on behalf of the University of Saskatchewan.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Martin, Dean Phillipson. And to honored and honorable guests that are with me, welcome to the parents that are here, a warm welcome from the University of Saskatchewan, and to the incoming class, the most of success that you have here in the years you're here. I know you're all going to be successful, so I wish you all that and then some. It is my pleasure to bring greetings on behalf of the university. As Dean Phillipson mentioned, the College of Law at the University of Saskatchewan is indeed one of the most historic in all of Canada. It is the oldest law school in Western Canada, and it's wonderful that you have chosen to earn your Juris Doctor degree here. I want to start by congratulating you for the determination that got you here, and encourage you to be open to a future of possibilities that a career in law will open up. The path you have chosen to dedicate yourselves to is a noble one. It is a valued profession, a profession that inspires, mentors, protects others, and guides future generations. The study of law is also inspiring. However, it also requires, as has been pointed out, dedication and hard work. At the University of Saskatchewan, we endeavor to support our students in their undertakings, both academic, extracurricular, not too much of that, folks, and provide, that was a joke, and provide you with exceptional, you gotta get it, and with exceptional learning opportunities during your time here. We aim to make this experience both enjoyable and educational. However, make sure that you bring your own new and unique perspective to your learning opportunities, challenge past ideas, or think things the way they haven't been thought of before. Because of the knowledge and preparation you are receiving at this university, you will become leaders in your field, as you've seen the ones that have spoken before me. And as you move throughout your career, you will have the opportunity to have impact on those around you. Don't take this responsibility lightly, and keep in mind that it will look differently for each of you. Now I'm going to show you the person Martin sees every day, so if you might allow me to speak. I'm Italian, so I'm going to speak a little bit from down here to all of you. It's a different speech. I was trained as an engineer, and I hope that isn't held against me. I'm sort of feeling like a banana among the oranges here. But when I was trained as an engineer, and they're a very similar analogy, you learn a code of ethics, and you're, as an engineer, trained to do no harm. You have to protect society, and you make sure that no one is harmed. But when I was being trained as an engineer, when I was in your position, I had to learn it the hard way, and it got a lot easier, as was indicated today, when I realized the value of collaboration. You are very, very talented individual, and by nature, very competitive. Put the competitive over here, look at the profession, and let it draw you into what you can become with all your classmates and others that you've been invited to join to make you a better lawyer. That's what's going to matter, and that's what keeps you well, and that allows you to be successful individually and collectively. The second thing I wanted to add is the following, and it's about the principle of integrity, which is what this discipline is about. And integrity is not achieved by when you walked in the door today. It is earned over time and distance with consistent actions that do well for everyone. Let me explain. I've learned only 3 basic principles in my life. Is the more you engage, the more you listen, you gain trust, and you gain wisdom. And over time and distance, that leads to integrity. If you don't do that, you can fall to the wrong side. And in the society and in a world where we have a difficulty sometimes understanding what true integrity is, trust me, everyone will see it when you show it. And it is done over time and distance. Your parents, your grandparents, other friends that are here with you, and the very senior and honorable people with us on stage, the dean, understand this very, very well. So play to that territory. It will do you wonders in the long run. My favorite singer-songwriter, I'm not going to sing or scare you out of here, is Bill Withers. He wrote several wonderful songs. The Two of Us was one of them, among others. Some of the senior people here at my age know what this song is. And Bill Withers, when he was older, was interviewed, and he made an interesting statement. He came from the coal mines of West Virginia. And when he came from there, he said, and he was interviewed, he said, it was interesting, he said, in life, you become a composite of the places you've been and who comes into your life. But as lawyers, I would add, it's the decisions you make and the impact you have that really adds to that composite of you as a lawyer. Let that composite be a painting of richness and color and joy. And back to my earlier point, it will lead to the integrity that each and every one of you deserve, which is right now needed in this world. It will do you well. And at the end, find the courage as lawyers Find the courage. It's in you. Bring it out to have the impact in a world that needs you more than ever before. Thank you very much. I enjoyed being here. Thank you.
I've actually always wanted to hear my boss sing, so maybe I'll buy him a couple of drinks sometime. Anyway, sorry. Okay, moving on before I get fired. I'm delighted to welcome the Honourable Judge Gerald Moran as our keynote speaker this afternoon. The Honourable Judge Gerald Moran was born and raised in Cumberland House, Saskatchewan, and is a member of the Peter Ballantine Cree Nation. He attained his certificate in social work from the University of Regina in 1978. He has worked as a probation officer in northern Saskatchewan and as a professor at the University of Manitoba, where he taught community development. Judge Moran returned to the University of Saskatchewan and attained his law degree in 1987. He practiced law in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan at the Pandia Moran Law Office and appeared in all levels of court, including the Supreme Court of Canada. Judge Moran received a Queen's Counsel designation in 1999, the first Aboriginal person to receive a QC designation in the history of the province. He was appointed to the Provincial Court in 2001, and during his time as judge, conducted court sessions in the Cree language. Judge Moran retired in February 2019, but continues to sit on an itinerant basis in Saskatchewan and both the Yukon and Northwest Territories. Please welcome Judge Gerald Moran.
Good afternoon. Nadasko monotean. Epiwichiwi anomota. Uguskai sakayami chicken. I welcome the opportunity to be here today. It's always humbling to stand in front of people who are smarter than you. And I always felt like that when I was in law school. But I also felt that somebody needed to hold up the GPS, and I had broad shoulders to be able to do that, because the bell curve needed to bottom part. But I had my own skill set. I learned, and I certainly see the bright young people that are here today. It's an important journey, and most of you have in some ways started that journey in some of the things that you have encountered in life up to date. Because law has a way of bringing us to reality in people we meet, in things that we do, in things that we encounter. This law school was started in 1912. So it's a long history. 109 years? No, 107. See, I can't count. 107 years. The first Indigenous lawyer graduated from this law school in 1952. Prior to that, if an Indigenous person would have graduated from law school, they would have been stripped of their status. If you think about that for a moment, what was that law meant to be? Not all law is good. It's up to us to understand what it is that we are encountering. But certainly, Mr. Watney, who was the first graduate in 1952, went on to distinguish career in terms of what he did and what he achieved. And he has just passed away but within the last 3 years. It's important to understand that type of history because, think about it, in order to be a Canadian, that you would have to be stripped of your status just because you graduated from a law school. I know that as first-year students, you have encountered a situation where you are learning certain things that many of us did not have the opportunity to learn in our curriculum way back then. We had Aboriginal law that was taught by the distinguished Roger Carter, and I'll say a little bit more about him. But now you have a course that is in response to Truth and Reconciliation Commission, one of the 94 recommendations. And it called upon the law schools to require all law students to take a course in Aboriginal people and the law. I know that some will feel, why do we need to take that? You can't foresee what your law career will bring you. You will be in firms, you will be in situations where that basic knowledge will help you. Look at it from that perspective, not as an encroachment into your studies, but something that I recall working through the Treaty Commission office back in the 90s when I was doing lead counsel work for the Federation of Saskatchewan Indian Nations. And we dealt with, through the Treaty Commissioner's office, and David Arnott, who was a Treaty Commissioner at that time, and my predecessors, wanted to make sure that there was something in the curriculum within all the province of Saskatchewan to learn about certain things with respect to treaties, with respect to how Indigenous people have been dealt with in this country. So having that course as one of the things that you will need to learn, many of you will encounter situations. I have seen colleagues dealing with major issues of Indigenous law. Mr. McAdam, who's here today, has been in a number of cases dealing with Indigenous law, representing the Crown. And there is nothing that one can say against that, because he has a job to do. I've been in situations in dealing with Mr. McAdam, always with great respect. Because I think many speakers, and the one thing about being the last speaker is trying to be a cleanup hitter. I never was good in baseball. Hockey was more my forte, curling and a few other things. When people talk about your experience throughout law school in first year, second year, third year, they say take care of yourself. That's very important. Don't lose yourself. Those are important. You heard about what I just mentioned in Truth and Reconciliation Commission. You heard duty to counsel and reconciliation by itself. Reconciliation has been a part of my life all these years. When I was in law school, I encountered a very young man who was very bright, very smart young man. He finished very well in law school. My first encounter with him was to discuss who I was and maybe some subject matters that one might initially take offense. I learned a long time ago not to take offense of those type of situations. I learned a long time that diplomacy was more important. Educating your colleagues was equally, if not more important. Over a 3-year period, we developed a friendship. He left, went on, and in 1988, he died in a tragic car accident, just barely out of law school. I wrote a letter to his parents, explained to them who I was, how I met their son, and what we had discussed in what I called in heady law school situations. I didn't hear anything, not that I expected to. For 5 years, I got a letter one day from the mother thanking me for a letter that she needed to hear about her son, a letter that she needed to hear about somebody who remembered her son in different ways. And she said it took her that long to respond to my letter. that she was not aware would ever come. When I became a judge in 2001, I received another letter from her congratulating me for my achievement and saying that her son, Paul, would have been proud in that situation. I took that to heart because it was a situation where I say reconciliation has always been part of my life. I've encountered many different situations over the years, and certainly it is one that I take note of. When we look at different situations in the history of the college, I remember back discussing different things with Roger Carter. His son is here today, Professor Carter. Roger Carter played a major role in the establishment of the Native Law Center. It was a means by which law school took to heart some criticism of not having enough Indigenous students in law. Back then, there was 3 lawyers across Canada in 1969. Roger Carter took it upon himself to try and do something about that because it was not right for him. He went to Arizona, looked at a program that looked at trying to enhance the number of lawyers. In that particular process, he started the Native Law Center, and the summer program of the Native Law Center started in 1973. Since 1973, there has been over 2,000 graduates in that particular program. Roughly the last time I looked at statistics, where there were well over 1,200 graduates practicing law or doing things in law throughout Canada. In the year that I was here and started my career in the College of Law, there was 5 of us. And wouldn't you know it, in those 5, there were 2 Gerald Morans. I think Donna remembers that. There was Little Jerry and Big Jerry. Being Little Jerry, no, I wasn't. Had to deal with that. I said, 2? What are the chances? The same chance that I probably got into law school. Fairly slim. But we were here. Don Worm was in upper year. I think he was in 3rd year. Debbie Chatsis. Well, Debbie Chatsis eventually became the ambassador of Vietnam. Okay? That's a major achievement. Don Worm has distinguished himself in his practice throughout Canada in the leading cases that he has done over the years, and won very recently a major treaty rights case with him and David Nawagibo and different colleagues. One of the things that we started in 1988, Don Worm, Nawagibo, along with a number of us, started the Indigenous Bar Association. The Indigenous Bar Association started back then on the Sutune First Nation. And today, we have quite a large membership, so I encourage anybody that can join in that. Because when I heard the statistics for today, for instance, in first-year law, there are 16 people that identify as First Nations Métis people. There are 49 in amongst the 3 years. If you count Nunavut, who is part of, and they got a law degree, I believe, from University of Saskatchewan when they passed their law school in Nunavut, will be 66. That's in one 3-year period. That's fantastic. You have got a lot of advice in terms of what you need to do. I think over the years that I've always tried to strive for was, when I was practicing, that I did not only practice for one client. In other words, I had to maintain my integrity throughout and deal with hard subjects and deal with major issues. And some of those things were fairly painful to go through. My wife, who's here with me today, will tell you many different things that happened along the way. But I remember dealing with one major inquiry, dealing with a Nazi sympathizer, and all that entails. And being threatened, thank God there was no social media to that point back then. But certainly the hate letters that I received, out of all those hate letters, I kept one. I haven't looked at it for a long, long time. Maybe it's lost now. I don't know. But it's certainly something that touches you in a different way. But you also know that you had many, many supporters throughout there in that difficult period of time. And I learned the law in many different ways in dealing with lead counsel throughout that particular process. Cy Halleck, who's a distinguished jurist in this province. Marty Pepperskool was representing the RCMP. There was Jerry Albright, who's just retired, represented a different group. Morris Bodner was in that group. Peter McKinnon was part of the commission, who later became dean. And here was, little big Jerry, not knowing a damn thing of what he was doing, but felt that he needed to make sure that the voice of Mr. Leo Lachance was heard throughout that particular process. It made me realize many different things about law, and collegiality was certainly one of them. Because in as much as you have difficult cases with your colleagues, you don't carry it home. You don't carry it in terms of dealing with them on the street. They are still your colleagues, and you maintain that professionalism and you maintain that integrity because they have to represent who they represent. So when I go back to saying, take care of yourselves, help take care of your own colleagues as you meet them in law school. In first year moot, I remember doing my moot, and the guy I was supposed to moot with ended up with an attack of his appendicitis, and so he ended up in the hospital. I always thought he was scared to show up. I still tell him that. Mr. Justice Dufour, Queen's Bench. So, him and I became friends when the college asked me not that I needed to redo my argument for anything, I already received my mark, but whether or not I would do my moot over so that Mr. Dufour could do his. We have become friends all these years. I just went to visit him in BC as he's establishing, I think I can say that he's looking maybe for a brighter future, I don't know. But suffice to say, I think he's distinguished himself in law. I talked to another colleague today and said, what was it that drew us together as colleagues in law school? He practices in Lloydminster. He says, Jerry, I think it's one of those things where we had a lot of discussions about different things with Indigenous people, with non-Indigenous people, and the relations therein. And you would always challenge me in terms of what my beliefs were, and some I accepted, some I don't. But we always had that respect. him and I have been friends all these years. We had another colleague. There was 4 of us. We were slightly older than the average law student back then. I was 30 when I started my time in law school. I had another life. I wanted to start earlier, but I was a single parent at the time. And when I came back, I was still a single parent to a 7-year-old. So I wanted to start a lot earlier, but I couldn't. The circumstances didn't allow it. The other friend that we had was a farmer from down in Cabry. We all became friends through not only our little older students, but we would challenge each other, we would help each other, and we had just lost that one friend last year from cancer. But these are relationships that you have of different colleagues, and you will develop that. You will have colleagues across the country. I've been to Newfoundland, visited a friend down in Newfoundland, been to BC. A friend came across from Powell River to come and see my wife and I just a couple of weeks ago because we were in Comox visiting another friend from law school days. Those are meaningful relationships. Those are meaningful things. I've had the pleasure of being in many different situations in my career. I've been in unpleasant situations, and I think I wrote a chapter in a book of Pepper in Our Eyes for an incident that occurred in 1998 doing a major inquiry at the University of British Columbia. I got used to cameras on my face for about 5 months of that particular year, University of BC, doing what Mr. Chrétien said at the one time. He says, I put pepper on my steak. I can't do the accent, but that's what he said. So it was a major incident. And then to be blamed for something I didn't do, it was a major blow. But at the same time, you accept it, you move on. But I remember writing that chapter and what it brought out in me when I was looking at that. I think University of British Columbia published it in, I'm trying to think when that was. They published it in either 2000, 2001. So when I look at you young people, I think I can say that. I didn't see any gray hairs back there. I might have seen some that are follically challenged, but not totally gray. You have a bright future. It's very challenging to be in law school. I'm still afraid of driving by there come April or Christmas for fear that they might want me to write another exam. And in talking to a colleague the other day, he says, sometimes I think about it, do they know that whether I have an actual law degree? Well, I think we might have. And we have dealt with it in many ways. I don't want to keep you here long because I think the important part of the ceremony is yet to come. But let me say this, because you will take sides in relation to what you do. Democracy must be built through open societies that share information. When there is information, there is enlightenment. When there is debate, there are solutions. When there is no sharing of power, no rule of law, no accountability, there is abuse, corruption, subjugation, and indignation. We are a country of law. We are a country that is learning about our own past in many different ways. And that's why I keep saying reconciliation is important. If you think of your own parents and your grandparents and what they had to encounter before they moved to Canada, maybe 5 generations back, there are major issues that they got away from. And you can think of that past. We learn from it, and we must accept our diversity. We must respect our diversity. And we must work together and live in this world of ours, because it is ours, all of us. And together we can make it. Separate, we will fight. And there is no winner in that type of situation. So to you law students, you are my hope. You are the second group of law students to receive some exposure to what the history and legacy of Indigenous people are, and the treaties on Aboriginal rights. Even I didn't get that education way back. It has only started in the last number of years. Do not fight it. Take a look at it for what it is and what it teaches you. Understand it from that basis. And yes, there are times you're going to be scared. You're going to be wondering, what the hell is that professor talking about? Whenever that happened from a different professor, I used to live with this one colleague, and I would throw him the criminal code. I said, somewhere in there it says they can't shoot us. We'll make it through, because they can't do that. It's against the law. And we'd laugh, and away we go. So somewhere in there it says they can't shoot you. Okay? You will do it. You are smart. You will survive. Be good to each other. And don't forget where you came from. And embrace those you will meet in the future. Thank you very much.
I was waiting for somebody to take my notes, and I knew it would be him. So I have a second copy. So yeah, that's okay. I got him. It's all right. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah. Oh, thank you, sir. Yeah. I would now like to welcome our cloakers to the stage. We're lucky to have a number of College of Law alumni, staff, and students, as well as representatives from the legal community, to present our first-year students with their gowns. Can all of the cloakers please take to the stage? I'll announce you by name, and you can step forward as you're being introduced. Jared Brown, Collegeville alumnus and associate with Maurice Law. Andy Chang, College of Law alumnus and former sessional lecturer at the College of Law. Eric Huick, College of Law student and president of the Law Students Association. Chantel Johnson from Classic is unable to be here today, but we're pleased to welcome Felix Hone, assistant professor from the College of Law. Bree Lowenberger, College of Law alumna and director of Create Justice. Mitch McAdam, QC, College of Law alumnus and director of the Constitutional Law Branch at the Saskatchewan Ministry of Justice. Roche McCaig, College of Law alumna and treasurer with the CBA Saskatchewan. Ian Wagner, College of Law alumnus and president-elect of the Saskatchewan Trial Lawyers Association. And Rihanna Worm, College of Law student and president of the Indigenous Law Students Association. Okay.
Mohammed El-Bayadi, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Darcy Allen, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
James Anderson, Vancouver, BC.
Zach Anderson, Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan.
Miles Applin, Stony Plain, Alberta.
Irvin Ariai, Edmonton, Alberta.
Laura Arnold, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Emily Arthur, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Cole Arve, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Emma Ashworth, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Barbara Baker, Kimberley, BC.
Mark Berlin, Camrose, Alberta.
Wyatt Bernier, Prince Albert, Saskatchewan.
Carter Bazugli, Borden, Saskatchewan.
Kenya Bimji, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Jessica Behoon, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Erica Bodie, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Jenna Bragg, Grand Falls, Windsor, Newfoundland.
Sarah Bree from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Calvin Bricker, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Alex Brills, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Alana Vigera, Kamsack, Saskatchewan.
Christopher Chong, Burnaby, BC.
Daniel Cherian, Milestone, Saskatchewan.
Parker Chow, Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan.
Cameron Christensen, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Julia Conlon, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Wapastim Kauk Dotit Sagastanuk Napel, Andre Bear, Little Pine First Nation.
Deanna Council, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Brendan Collishaw, Nipawin, Saskatchewan.
Katie Doherty, Kamloops, British Columbia.
Manuel Dominguez, Zaragoza, Spain.
Dustin Doroshenko, Dunder in Saskatchewan.
Savannah Downs, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Todd Drever, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Rachel Drew, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Erin Dunn, Prince Albert, Saskatchewan.
Tessa Dyer, Medicine Hat, Alberta.
Andrew Earhart, Melville, Saskatchewan.
Rory Erickson, Port Coquitlam, British Columbia.
Jackson Flamin, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Jillian Fortledge, Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Talon Fowler, Beaver Lodge, Alberta.
Daisy Francis, Kindersley, Saskatchewan.
Kane Fritzler, Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan.
Natalie Gillespie, Canmore, Alberta.
Corbin Golding, Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan.
Braden Goldstein, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Dwayne Grantham, Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Tim Hagstrom, Calgary, Alberta.
Jody Handroff, Mr. His Sagahiganik is the Cree place name for my home of Larange, Saskatchewan. Sorry.
Celia Herdens, Prince Albert, Saskatchewan.
Allie Harrington, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Sydney Haubrick, Hodgeville, Saskatchewan. Amy Hill, Kelowna, BC.
Patrick Hurd, Calgary, Alberta.
Danielle Hopkins, Elrose, Saskatchewan.
Drew Eichert, Prince Albert, Saskatchewan.
Kareem Ishmael, St. Catharines, Ontario.
Megan Johnson, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Tyler Dricity, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Alexis Cardis, Ottawa, Ontario.
Moira Kaiser Coops, Treaty 4 Territory, Saskatchewan.
Kobe Callan, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Chris Kim, Banff, Alberta.
Jay Kim, Gwangju, South Korea.
Callan Kimber, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Regan King, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Kenzie Cargard, Prince Albert, Saskatchewan.
Brandon Coleman, Lloydminster, Alberta.
Marcus Kostick, Grand Prairie, Alberta.
Katarina Costaha, Mildred, Saskatchewan.
Valerie Qualley, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Sonia Lee, Accra, Ghana.
Mateo LeConte, Edmonton, Alberta.
Nils Loken, Shield, Saskatchewan.
Sarah Longinati, Vancouver, BC.
Isabel McLean, Ottawa, Ontario.
Wardamira Malik, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Stefan Malinovic, Banja Luka, Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Camille McKay, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Taryn McLaughlin, London, Ontario.
Jason McNiven, Merritt, British Columbia.
Natalia Montanez, Bogota, Colombia.
Lexi Morash, Churchbridge, Saskatchewan.
Taylor Morose, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Evan Morrow, Swift Current, Saskatchewan.
Gurmeet Singh Randhawa, Calgary, Alberta.
Walker Patterson, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Mackenzie Parks, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Joshua Parker, Victoria, BC.
Stephanie Pankyu, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Aaron Pan, China.
Taylor Noble, Usham, Saskatchewan.
Shay Newdorf, Bonnieville, Alberta.
Miriam Muspa, Edmonton, Alberta. Callie Schwartz, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Kellen Rosenow, Calgary, Alberta.
Sarah Raisler, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Laura Robson, Swift Current, Saskatchewan.
Vanessa Roberts, Humboldt, Saskatchewan.
Kira Richardson, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Mohammed Riaz, Calgary, Alberta.
Kaylee Rendeck, Creston, British Columbia.
Sean Rempel, Martinsville, Saskatchewan.
Caroline Shashadri, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Dylan Shaw, Abbotsford, BC.
Bridget Shabib, Vancouver, BC.
JC Steele, Cody First Nation, Saskatchewan.
Holly Stroshine, Edmonton, Alberta.
Sarma Sayed, Edmonton, Alberta.
Brendan Thompson, Edmonton, Alberta.
Matt Thompson, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Jacques Toupin-McGillis, Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Nicole Trihorn, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Tamara Tupou, Sterling, Alberta.
Tanner Titlinsvik, Estevan, Saskatchewan.
Larry Varga, Coquitlam, British Columbia.
Taylor Vodden, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Allison Warlow, Edmonton, Alberta.
Heather Weir, Edmonton, Alberta.
Allison White, Corner Brook, Newfoundland.
Linda Zhang, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Okay, I'd like to say thank you to all of our cloakers. A round of applause for our cloakers. Thank you. At the risk of tempting fate, I just love this. It runs like a well-oiled machine. It's amazing. Anyway, I now invite Professor Heather Haven, Associate Dean of Research and Graduate Studies, to read the educator commitment on behalf of the faculty at the College of Law.
Good afternoon. As a faculty member of the University of Saskatchewan College of Law, I commit to the best of my ability and on behalf of my colleagues to embody the learning behaviors we are teaching to others, maintain an appropriate teacher-learner relationship, bring research, scholarship, artistic work, and professional activities into teaching and mentorship, to align our learning outcomes, teaching activities, and assessment, develop respectful and inclusive learning relationships, and support student learning. Communicate and uphold clear academic expectations and standards, perform fair and relevant assessment for all student learning, solicit and reflect on feedback from students, peers, and others, and engage in lifelong learning and continuous enhancement of teaching practice.
Thank you, Heather. I will now ask all the students to rise, please. And I want you to repeat after me as we recite the student commitment. So after me. As a law student at the University of Saskatchewan College of Law, I will, to the best of my ability, engage in a respectful way with local, national, and global members of community and society. Contribute to the creation of a respectful and inclusive university community. actively engage in the learning process, and undertake all learning activities with academic and ethical integrity. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a warm round of applause as I present to you the College of Law class of 2022. Students, you may be seated. We'll now move on to the awards portion of the event. I want to begin by saying that the College of Law is extremely grateful to all of our donors for gifts of all sizes. We rely on the financial support of alumni and friends to assist us in funding bursaries, scholarships, and many other student initiatives. For some students, without the financial support that they receive, law school would not be an option. And with that, I'll begin the presentation of our entrance awards. So the Gary and Tammy Bujo Centennial Entrance Award goes to J. Kim. The William Elliott Scholarship. Please welcome Ryan LePage of MLT Aikens LLP, who will present both the William Elliott Scholarship and the McPherson, Leslie, and Tyman Scholarship in Law. So the William Elliott Scholarship is presented to Ali Harrington. Sorry. And the MLT Aikens LLP Scholarship in Law is presented to Danielle Hopkins. Please welcome Faluke Laustebakan, bencher with the Law Society of Saskatchewan, to present the Law Society of Saskatchewan Scholarship. And this year's recipient is Kaylee Rendek. The Harris and Loretta and Raymond Earl Parr Memorial Scholarship. There are 2 awards. The first recipient is Brendan Cowlishaw. And the second recipient is Megan Johnson. I would now like to welcome Brian Crane, QC, to the stage to say a few words and present the Brian Crane Gowling WLG Scholarship in Indigenous Law. Brian Crane.
took me longer to get to the platform than to give my speech. Gowlings is very proud to support the work of the Native Law Center summer program. You've heard about the Native Law Center from Judge Morin, and I need say no more about it. But I do want to mention that 4 graduates of that summer program are now my colleagues at Gowling WLG. They are Kelly Campanola, who is in our Toronto office, Kennedy Bearrobe, Jessica George, and Paul Seaman, who are in our Vancouver office. Just one example of the success of this wonderful program. The winner this year, I won't need to open the envelope, of the Gowling WLG Scholarship in Indigenous Law is Calvin Bricker.
The Morris and Jackie Shumiacha Scholarship in Law is awarded to Barbara Baker. I'd now like to welcome Scott Spencer of Miller Thompson to say a few words and present the Miller Thompson National Entrance Scholarship.
No speech, just a few words. Just want to say what a great event this is. There's just so much positive energy in this room. I think the excitement with the speakers on this side of the room may be even a little bit higher than some of the students. I think that's because we know what a great adventure you're heading out on and how much fun you're going to have. It is going to be awesome. I, of course, am from the break them down, build them up, bun throwing era of the law school. So we didn't have a fancy introduction like this. As Judge Morin reminded me earlier today, we had a similar ritual, but it was at the Sutherland Hotel. It was not quite as classy, but I guess what must have happened is when the SCUS closed down, you went with this, which is all right too. It's going to be a wild ride. Law is a lot of work. Law school and the practice is a lot of work, but it is a lot of fun. So enjoy that ride. It is with great pleasure that I get to award the scholarship from Miller Thompson to Carolyn Sashandri. Carolyn?
Please welcome Merlis Belcher to present the Law Foundation of Saskatchewan 25th Anniversary Scholarship. And this year's recipient is Taylor Noble. The J. Barry Thompson Scholarship is awarded to Nils Locken. the Mohinder Chada Memorial Award in Law, and please welcome Ina Chada to present that award. And Rajinder Chada as well. And this year's winner is Jody Hancheroff. You're welcome. She's coming. The Justice John H. Ma Memorial Scholarship goes to Regan King. P.E. Mackenzie Entrance Scholarship goes to Kane Fritzler. The Thomas P. and Peter S. Deese World War II Memorial Scholarship goes to Drew Eichert. The James M. Stevenson Entrance Scholarship, for which there are 2 awards. The first recipient is Kobe Keelan. The second recipient of the James M. Stevenson Entrance Scholarship is Jackson Flaman. The Eldon Williams Scholarship. There are 3 awards. The first recipient is Sonia Lee. The second recipient is Andrew Earhart. And the third recipient is Tessa Dyer. And last but not least, the Native Law Center bursary goes to Jason McNiven. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our awards and our ceremony. Before I go, I want to thank all our speakers and presenters, Judge Moran in particular for his remarks. I also want to thank Sarah Trefiak and all my staff who've done a wonderful job in running this well-oiled machine. I want to thank the family and friends for coming and celebrating this auspicious occasion. And I want to thank the students too for looking so smart and not... Before we move over to the University Club for reception, which you're all welcome to join us, which is sort of just around the corner that way, I just want to say what a great ceremony this is. This is the start of a long journey. It's going to be a hard journey, but these events are worth acknowledging. These are special things. You've done very well to get here. You should be proud of yourselves. We will see you all in 3 years' time to make sure you're getting out the door. We'll make sure of that. But most importantly, we're delighted to welcome you to our community. You're very special. We're going to take care of you over 3 years. We're going to make you work hard, but you are now joining a wonderful community of law students and alumni across the country. And this place will change your life for the better if you allow it to do that. It will make you a better person, a stronger person, and you will go out and do great things if you embrace that opportunity. So if I have one piece of advice for you, it's embrace the opportunity that you've been given. Use the talents that you have and the skills that you have for good and for yourselves and your communities. And you will serve us well and serve your college well. I would ask that the students, first years, make their way outside through the doors. Outside, the photographer will take a big, honking big group photograph, which will be fun, and I promise I won't photobomb it. And then after the photos are complete, please return to the green room to drop off your gowns, and then we'll see you again at the University Club for reception. Ladies and gentlemen, one last time, the class of 2022.